Hey all, today we're looking at requests for information or RFIs, which are basically structured questions that have a person assigned to answering them and a life cycle that you can track in terms of opening an RFI to ask a question, getting an answer, going back and forth, and then closing it out with the official answer. RFIs exist across all portals, so contractors, vendors, and customers, although customers will not be able to create them. So we can go ahead and see here that we're looking at our RFIs list page, just a list of all the RFIs that we have in our app. Ability to sort them, filter them, standard stuff. And we can jump into making one ourselves. So we'll go ahead and add a title and a description. And from here, we can actually select a subject, which is, rather than asking a general question, we can hone in on a specific spec or selection. Right now, it's just those. In the future, we will likely expand this to include other subjects that you can select. So I know this doesn't align with the master bath floor, but we'll just go ahead and pick one here. And we can select a due date if we'd like. This due date is for someone who is assigned to this RFI to answer it by. And then I'll just go ahead and add another user of mine. Go ahead and save that. The assignee is the person who is tasked with answering this request for information. The approver is usually yourself or myself in this instance. You can also select other folks. That's just so if you have a colleague or a coworker, you can make sure that you have their okay on the answer before going. Or if you're going out of town, you can deselect yourself, select someone else, have them sort of watch the RFI, make sure it gets answered properly. Cool. And audience is for, it's sort of a read-only view, so users who you would still want to have visibility, maybe a vendor, to this RFI, but you don't necessarily need anything from them. You don't need them to answer anything or another approver. You just want them to be able to see it. And same view as the others. Cool. So we'll go ahead and click create. And this is the RFI detailed view. So you can see we've got our approvers, assignees, the person who's expected to answer, and then details. We can actually navigate to the subject from here. This will take us to the cost item that it's related to. Right here. The due date, and we are waiting for the assignee to provide a response. You can see we're in draft view right now. While we're in draft view, we can edit this. So if we ever needed to change anything, second floor, bath floor, we can go ahead and save that, and that'll update. From here, we can go ahead and submit, and that opens the RFI, the request for information. And if we look on the right over here, I'm logged into that user that we assigned for this. And you can see that when we took it out of draft, it appears here in the assignees RFI list. And so you can kind of see the two roles here. On the left, we've got the approver, someone who will look at the answer and say, yes, that sort of satisfies what I'm looking for. And then on the right is the assignee, who will be the one who's the knowledge expert who can provide the information. And so as the assignee, I can go ahead and, because I know the answer, go ahead and provide that. I can also attach attachments, files, and then once I've done that, I can post it. And if I refresh on the left, you can see that the message has come through. Now this is just a standard message right now. If I were intending this to be the answer for the RFI and not just correspondence, communication, I can go ahead and mark this as the answer. And when I do that, I'll refresh on the left, and it shows up as the current answer, effectively the official answer from the assignee. And as the approver, I can then accept this answer if it satisfies my question, or I can request clarification if I'm still confused. So we'll do one cycle of requesting clarification, and this will actually send the message here. So we'll say, are you sure? Respond, yes. I got a gold. Post that. And then on the left, as the approver, I could say, okay, perfect, and go ahead and lock that in. And that closes out the RFI. effectively marking it as answered, and that will show up here as closed. Jumping back in, a couple things to call out. You can see that the activity log has filled out as we've gone through this process, so you can see the steps in the life cycle that the request for information has gone through. You can hover a user's name to see their email. Users will get notifications around an RFI. So when it's submitted, answered, if clarification is requested, it's closed, or an RFI is assigned to you. And there will be links to that RFI in that email. And we've also got Mason integration, so we can ask how many RFIs do I have that are closed? And we would expect 2. Great. And it lists them here. And we can also create one. So when we go ahead and refresh, we can see the RFI that Mason just created. And while it's in draft, we can go ahead and fill it out with anything that it missed, or we could have provided more information up front for it to fill out. One thing I forgot to mention is the ability to invite external users. So if you have an assignee, and I'll just provide a fake email here, an assignee who's outside of Ressio, but you want them to be able to be the assignee for this, you can provide an email. If it is not in the system, we will say no matching user and allow you to invite them either as a customer or a vendor. And this will, if I click invite by email, this will add them as an assignee, and they will be able to function as that for this particular RFI. And that's a high-level rundown on RFIs. Thanks.